This is part 5, I believe, of the Tamiya Avante 2001 White Special project. This time it is completely finished, even though last time I said it was. I made a few changes since last time, the most obvious being the wheels, but I'll get to the small bits first. Last time I had, I believe, the stock springs up front and low-C big bore springs in the rear. I decided to go with more original springs, so the Tamiya gold springs that are original to the big bore or the high capacity dampers front and rear. I put them in there. I got these from my Avante 2011 runner that had the new high cap dampers with the re-released springs, so I just took those springs and put them on here. It goes better with the whole gold and white theme, and it's more original, so I like that. I went ahead and bought the gold alloy rims from RC Lover on eBay. These do match very nicely with the gold paint in the window. Maybe the color balance on this camera is not quite perfect, but it's a really close fit, and the wheels are really nice. They're very nicely machined. I also got the alloy wheel caps here. I just put the Camlock decals on those wheel caps. The wheel caps themselves, I believe there's like a little spring or something on each of these little nubs here, so it's very precise. They're really nice. I like them a lot. I would not want to run them though and get them all scratched up, so this is obviously a shelf queen. In the beginning of this build series I wanted to make this a runner, but ultimately as I added more and more nice pieces to this, I decided to just make it a shelf queen. As for the tires themselves, I took these off of my Avante 2011. I wasn't using them, and they're brand new, never been run, so they're nice and pointy and spiky. For the actual lettering, what I did is I picked up the Tamiya tire marker. Okay, it's part number 87041 star 500. This particular color is silver, even though it doesn't say so on the actual package, but it does come out as silver on the tire itself. And I was hoping I would get white, but the silver's fine. It's no big deal. A few things to note though. I got a little impatient and I painted the lettering before the wheels came in. I figured, okay, I paint the lettering, the paint would dry, and then I'll just mount the tires on the wheels and it should be no big deal. But it turns out that even though the paint had several days to dry on the tire, this is basically paint that's on the tire, it didn't quite dry out. So when I ended up mounting the tire on the wheels, because remember, these tires are very hard. They're not as flexible as modern tires. You really got to use your hands and stretch them and really force them onto the wheel. And it ended up smudging some of the paint here. And I had to go back and, try to scrape off the bits that, got smudged from the lettering onto the actual sidewall of the tire. So if you're going to do this, save yourself some trouble. Wait until the wheels come in before mounting the tires and painting the lettering. Okay. Otherwise, it's very hard to do it the other way around. But it came out okay. You also have to be very patient with this lettering. This little tire marker here is basically like a ballpoint pen with paint coming out of the pen. So you just have to be very patient to sort of go over each and every letter and get all the little serifs that are on the text on the lettering here. It takes a while, maybe about 10 minutes or so per tire. So just make sure to take your time to get it right and don't get any paint in between the lettering. One other thing that I did do, let me just take this off here, is I got the G-Force Racing steering rack here. I decided to get this alloy steering rack instead of the Pargu steering rack. They're both alloy racks. I think the G-Force one looks a little nicer. Also, it actually ships on time. The Pargu parts are very nice, like the chassis and the front and rear shock towers. They're really nicely made. I give them credit for that. My biggest problem with Pargu is that the shipping takes forever. Every single time I've ordered from them, no matter what it was, it's taken 2 months, 3 months, if not more, just to get the parts that I ordered and fully paid for. So I'm glad that someone else actually makes a steering rack, an alloy steering rack for the Avante. This one is more expensive. This is $50 for this part. It's very expensive. The Pargu part is about half as much, but this one actually ships on time. It came in like 2 weeks or so. So I literally just got finished mounting that. The ball bearings fit beautifully. The only problem I had here is, and there's actually a similar problem when I was trying to put ball bearings in the original plastic steering rack, is that there are these little, once you put the bearings in, there's this little piece that slots up inside the bearing that basically picks up the slack between the screw and the inside of the bearing to minimize slop. And the stock piece for that slots through to brass or metal bushings. And I guess the inner diameter of the bushing is a little bit more than 5 millimeters, as opposed to these bearings, which are exactly 5 by 8 millimeters. And the 5 by 8 millimeter bearings do not fit on that stock part. I actually broke a few bearings trying to force it on there. What I ended up having to do is I found the equivalent mounting pieces, those little pieces that slot through the bearings, on my Tamiya F201. I had some stock pieces left over, and so you need 4, 2 for here, and then 2 that go under these mounting points here. So I just happened to have 4 of those. They fit perfectly on this, and everything works very nicely. To minimize bump steer with this steering rack, because I did notice with the stock positions there was quite a bit of bump steer, I had to put a total of, I believe, 5 millimeters of spacers under the ball stud here to push this ball stud down, because you cannot comparably push the ball stud on the outside here up, because it's a little too short. And I think I used just a longer ball stud to enable me to put a, to actually lock it down with a nut here on the other side. So that's just a little tip to keep in mind here for your Avante if you want to make it a runner. So this is pretty much it. I did replace the front gearbox with all original parts. So the only things that are remaining that are probably used are the bumper. The bumper's a little scraped up. The front arms, the front C-hub carriers, they look okay. They're not too bad. And I think that's pretty much it. The rest of it is, either very good condition parts or brand new parts. So I hope you like it. I had a lot of fun with this project, even though it took me a lot longer than I expected it to. But I'm happy with the coloring, and this is, I think, a unique Avante among the ones that are out there. So I have many more projects to go. A couple YZ10s and 91 works. I have 93 works that's a runner that I'll be working on soon. And, of course, the Astute over there that's been waiting very patiently for a long time. So I'll post videos of those in time. But in the meantime, thanks for watching.